Thank you for joining us on Nationwide. I'm Ruth Aguilera. Nigeria and Brazil have signaled commitment towards deepening existing bilateral agreements between the two countries in livestock production and the aviation sector. The agreement was reached when President Bola Tinubu met with his Brazilian counterpart in Brasilia, capital of South American country, where initiatives like the Green Imperative Partnership, which is expected to take off following President Tinubu's visit, is projected to generate at least 100,000 direct and over 5 million indirect jobs. Nigeria is strengthening peacekeeping missions, deepening cooperation, and creating an impact on defense institutions by speaking with one voice, which is expected to be driven by investing in cyber defense as investment towards the defense of the continent. President Bola Tinubu, represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, stated this at the opening of the African Chiefs of Defense Summit 2025 in Abuja. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports. Investing in intelligence educational programs ensures that national security professionals are not only reactive to a crisis, but are forward-thinking, architects of safety and resilience. Well, those were the words of the Chief of Defense Intelligence, Major General Emmanuel Udiandeye, to the leadership course in Criminal and Security Intelligence Management Course 6 at the Defense Intelligence College, Abuja. Defense correspondent Olajide Bello reports.
The sophistication of security threats and asymmetric warfare demands not only technical expertise but also strategic vision, ethical leadership, and a deep understanding of intelligence principles. By promoting modern leadership principles like emotional intelligence, critical thinking, and ethical decision-making, the course strengthens coordination between law enforcement, intelligence services, and national defense institutions.
The need to re-strategize through effective innovation and foresight to combat this myriad of insecurity for enhanced national security cannot be overemphasized.
We shall explore operational integration on how intelligence can effectively preempt threats, inform field responses, and support mission planning across all security agencies.
Our vision is to create a convivial environment for intelligence managers, security stakeholders, citizens, civil society organizations to assess the level of intelligence structure that we have.
The program also emphasizes interagency collaboration and intelligence sharing, which are often hindered by outdated training or siloed approaches. Olajide Bello, NTN.
All right, let's call back that report on the African Chief of Defense Summit held in Abuja, where the Vice President represented President Bola Tinubu. Let's see that. Worry, we'll get you the full package in the course of the bulletin. Flipping to other issues, the Katsina State government has strengthened its security infrastructure with the delivery of 8 brand new APC armored vehicles designed to boost operational capacity and improve mobility across the state's most vulnerable areas. The state acting governor, Farouk Lawal Jobe, reaffirmed the state government's dogged commitment to ensuring the safety and security of all citizens following a recent incident in Gedang Matau, Karfi Ward, local government area of the state. Let's hear from Awal Haliru.
After a State Security Council meeting, the acting governor described the attack as a sad and unfortunate, but emphasized that the government will continue to act decisively to protect lives. He pointed out the state's significant investment in security infrastructure, personnel training and community-based initiatives and local vigilante programs. These efforts have successfully secured 4 of the state's 8 frontline local governments, such as Jibia, Bazari, Sapana, and Damusa.
We will not relent, we will not be distracted by what is cowardly attitudes of the bandits.
The acting governor noted collaboration with the federal government and urged citizens to maintain confidence in the state government's efforts. Following the meeting, Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Nasiru Ma'azu Damusa, briefed newsmen, expressing sympathy for victims and commending the coordinated security response.
Let us also thank His Almighty Allah for making our security agencies to have a coordinated plan that led to the rescue of 72 captives from the enclaves of the bandits.
The commissioner stated that security is a community-driven effort and urged people to contribute, saying doors are open to anyone willing to assist. In Katsina, Awal Hallaru, NTA News.
The Nigerian Police Force is deepening its commitment to gender-sensitive policing. Francis Farm reports that a 5-day trainer's course for gender desk officers from the South Zone has opened in Abuja, with a focus on strengthening responses to gender-based violence.
Gender desk officers of the Nigeria Police Force play a vital role in responding to cases of gender-based violence, but many of them face challenges that hinder effective service delivery. To bridge this gap, a training organized by the United Nations Development Programme in partnership with the gender units of the Nigeria Police Force and the GS Foundation is seeking to equip officers with practical skills in addressing gender-related crimes with a view to improving support for the survivors.
Together, we want to create an environment where every individual, regardless of gender, is respected, feels safe, and is protected.
UNDP is proud to complement these efforts by supporting the gender units of the Nigerian Police Force.
The force is relying on you to make the change that we truly deserve.
With the establishment of our gender labs, it is also going to assist us as well.
And to go back to the units and officers to talk about that and to support the colleagues from the gender desk officers.
Participants drawn from the South states are expected to serve as trainers in their commands, cascading the knowledge and tools acquired to other officers. Francis from NTA News.
It was a day of pride and second chances at the Zone A command of the Nigerian Correctional Service, where 100 inmates marked their graduation under the theme, Reformed for Impact. From carpentry to catering, tailoring to electrical installation, the inmates showcased their newly acquired skills at an exhibition that proved transformation is possible behind bars. With trade test certificates from the Federal Ministry of Labor and Productivity in their hands, these graduates now carry marketable skills that can put food on the table and dignity in their future.
Let these skills define your future and not your past. By using what you have learned to positively touch lives and build a better future for yourselves, your family, and the society.
The Controller General also taught workshops and even a music studio set up for training, stressing that correctional programs are designed to transform inmates for life after incarceration.
Simply about training hands, they are about shaping minds. They are about restoring confidence. They are about creating opportunities for a new beginning.
The Nigerian Correctional Service also avails inmates opportunities to study and earn degrees. Kano State Police Command, in collaboration with the state government, has profiled more than 700 repentant culprits, while an additional 597 have voluntarily surrendered under the newly introduced Safe Corridor initiative. Elizabeth Yila Lamido reports.
The Safe Corridor program initiated by the Kano State government in collaboration with security agencies, is designed to rehabilitate and reintegrate repentant youths into society. At the flag-off ceremony, traditional rulers, religious leaders, and heads of security agencies were in attendance, reflecting a united front against the menace of thuggery that has long threatened security, economic activity, and social cohesion in Kano.
We'll ensure that, inshallah, adequate rehabilitation support will be given to those that we found with traces of substances of abuse.
The Kano State government, through this Safe Corridor program, is offering you a second chance to start afresh and become productive members of the society.
Now we have handed all our weapons to the State Intelligence Department.
After the profiling by the police, then the next stage is they're going to be also profiled by the NDLA, that is conducting drug tests on them. Then after rehabilitation, they're now going to receive every kind of information they may require.
More repentant youths are expected to join the initiative, assuring that the government remains committed to welcoming them as partners in building a peaceful and progressive Kano. Elizabeth Yilalamido, NT News.
All right, let's join Elizabeth now in Kano as she tells us more about this initiative, talking about the Safe Corridor initiative, how the program is gradually, yielding positive results. Elizabeth, please go ahead.
Thank you, Ruth. Like you rightly said, about 718 repentant youths have so far been profiled in Kano State. And what it means to be profiled here is simply taking their documentation, their details, their history, and their background. This also helps the police to be able to monitor their movement and make sure that they are indeed repentant. And this profiling was actually carried out by the Kano Police State Intelligence Department. And the next step after this is for the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, who will carry out the rehabilitation process for these repentant thugs. And after that comes the work by the Kano State government, which is for them to be reintegrated into the society. Some of them who are willing to go back to school will be taken back to school, and those who are willing to learn one skill or the other will actually be engaged and be empowered. These are the current processes, and presently, as I'm speaking to you, we have 597 youths that have currently laid down their arms, have brought themselves to the police to also be part of the Safe Corridor program. And that is the current situation in Kano State.
Okay, Elizabeth, just very quickly before I let you go, I'm sure you've had the opportunity to, or rather, have you had an opportunity to interact with these repentant youths? How ready are they, to bring development?
You saw in that report, I had an interview with one of the thugs, and so many of them actually showed me their weapons, which they had already brought and submitted to the police. And they are willing to go about these processes. They intentionally brought their family members to be witnesses to this, and they are being monitored day in, day out by the police to ensure that they do not return to their, bad ways of carrying out all manner of legal vices within the state. So presently, they are indeed willing. And aside from the 597 that have already shown willingness, there are others that are still coming forward to show their interest in being a part of the Safe Corridor program. This is a great journey for Kano State because it will help the youth to be more self-dependent, and they will be able to be an impact to the society positively.
Indeed, Elizabeth, you've just captured it all, talking about engaging the youths positively. Well done. Thank you. The other issues, the collaboration between Renewed Hope Initiative and Tony Elumelu Foundation has delivered another round of empowerment to Nigerian women with the disbursement of business recapitalization grant of 50,000 naira each to 500 women petty traders in Lagos. Well, at a ceremony where the Nigeria's First Lady was represented, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, she called for more collaboration and platforms to empower women. Let's hear from State House correspondent Adeni Taiwo.
At 62, Winifred Amanzi has transited from a life as a teacher to a petty trader selling melon seed. The most she could do in her condition. The business is small, but the desire to grow it is strong. She is one of the 500 women petty traders in Lagos who benefited from the provision of 50,000 naira business recapitalization grant by Renewed Hope Initiative and Tony Elumelu Foundation, along with a matching grant of another 50,000 naira by the state governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu.
Since they have given me this money, definitely instead of buying 2 paints, I will use it to add another 3. I will add another 3 paints. You understand? Making it 5. At least if I sell it, I will make a bigger profit. In fact, it's a renewed hope to me. It has worked. It's not that it's going to.
When a client asks you that, do you have this particular plate, and I say, I do not have, they feel like, oh, sorry, we could not give you this job. So once I have this grant, I know that yes, it could just make me enlarge my business. It could make it get those things that I feel I want to get. And from there, I pick it up and now making the business much more broad.
In buying tools, I'm going to add to my tools, buy materials for hair, buy materials for pedicure, and also.
Represented at the ceremony by wife of Lagos State Governor Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu says, in the shared vision of building a prosperous Nigeria, there is a need to always collaborate and innovate for the empowerment of women.
This economic empowerment program is about supporting the entrepreneurial spirit of our women, traders and small-scale business owners who wake up each day determined to provide for their families, educate their children, and uplift their communities. Let me emphasize that this is not a loan, it is a grant and a seed of renewed hope to help you recapitalize your existing business.
It is a platform of hope, resilience, and opportunity. I urge you to embrace this support with determination, channel it into productive ventures, and become true ambassadors of women's empowerment.
A free medical outreach was held for the beneficiaries on the sidelines of the event. In Lagos, Adeni Taiwo, NT.
The 82nd meeting of the People's Democratic Party Board of Trustees has held with a resolve to iron out all unresolved issues and forge a united front ahead of the 2027 general elections. Acting National Chairman of the party, Umar Damagum, stressed that the time for rhetoric is past, as this is a critical period and an opportunity to re-strategize, prioritize and form a formidable opposition to the governing APC. He said it was important that party members remain vigilant as 2027 approaches and highlighted the party's resolve to ensure women are adequately represented in governance. All right, let's take a break. We'll be back shortly. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying tuned. The Nigeria Governors Forum has made 4 senior-level appointments spanning human capital management, security, economic policy, communication, to re-engineer the scope to include an extensive assessment of Secretariat and strengthen its operational processes. A statement signed by its Director, Media and Strategic Communications, Yunusa Tanko Abdullahi, said the initiative is in line with its core mandate as a sub-national policy hub and resource center. A statement further outlined the organizational systems, human resources and operational procedures to ensure that the NGF functions in line with international best practice and remains focused on priority areas aligned with its strategic vision. Yunus has said NGF has appointed and added accomplished professionals to drive critical directorates and advisory functions within the Secretariat. All right, next will be our Benin Network Center, where we join Obehi. She will bring us the next set of reports. Hello, Obehi.
Ad hoc committee to monitor all ongoing government projects in the state has been constituted by the Edo State House of Assembly. The Speaker, Blessing Agbebaku, mandates the committee to monitor and enforce adherence to project specifications. The report. The ad hoc committee constituted to monitor government projects is to be chaired by the Deputy Speaker, Osamoyi Atu, with 4 other lawmakers as members. They are tasked with ensuring accountability and efficiency in project executions.
So the chairman is Sibo Ade, the other members are Jonathan Yama, Honorable Atu, Iban Osamoyi, Honorable Richard Osa, Honorable Bright Yamu, Honorable Kesley Gabi, and Honorable Yakini Idiaya. These other committee is being put together to also assist the government by way of oversight function to monitor all the projects going on in the Edo State.
The House has also confirmed the nomination of the former Speaker Ajuto Kebiru as the chairman, Edo State Local Government Service Commission. His appointment, which takes immediate effect, was sequel to his screening by the lawmakers. Meanwhile, Governor Monday Okpebholo, through a letter addressed to the Speaker, has requested the approval of 8 commissioner nominees. The Speaker referred the letter to the Rules and Business Committee for further legislative action. Also, a bill seeking to repeal the 2015 Customary Court of Appeal law and establish a new framework for the court scaled second reading during plenary. The bill is now with the Committee on Judiciary for further scrutiny. In Benin, the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA Benin Network Center, is collaborating with the Office of the First Lady of Edo State to project the activities of our office in reaching out to the wider public, promoting a more symbiotic relationship with the citizens. This was the outcome of the courtesy visit by the management of NTA Benin Network Center to the coordinator, Office of the First Lady of Edo State, Edesili Anani, at the Government House. Good luck, Inaini reports.
The coordinator office of the First Lady, Edesili Anani, is of the view that the state government is doing much to better the lives of its citizens in all ramifications, adding that without the proper channel to tell the story in the language the people understands, the effort may not be appreciated. This is where NTA, Africa's largest TV network with wider reach, comes to play.
You could do all the work. Without the media, nobody sees it. So your work is also very important and critical to the things we do. You just help us to amplify what we do. It would be good to have you on board as well, because I always say charity begins at home. We want to patronize what is ours.
His Honour Director, NTA Benin Network Center, Teni Ajayi, commended the First Lady for the laudable programs put in place by the state government in discouraging human trafficking and illegal migration, gender-based violence, and drug abuse. She assured the First Lady of NTA's readiness to collaborate with her office for a meaningful outcome.
A lot is happening in this office, and they are not being showcased adequately. So it's a good thing that she's willing. I'm sure from now, the First Lady will enjoy the kind of publicity that she should have.
The Office of the First Lady and NTA hope to see more collaborations in months ahead for a more symbiotic result. In Benin, good luck in any NT News.
And that's it from Benin. Nationwide continues with Ruth in Abuja.
Thank you very much, Obehi. President Bola Tinubu has charged African militaries to invest in defense industrial cooperation to combat the sophistication of regional security challenges. The president, who was represented by the Vice President Kashim Shettima at the African Chiefs of Defense Summit in Abuja, stressing that African Chiefs of Defense staff must deepen cooperation among militaries, upskill development of indigenous technology to combat emergent state and regional security threats. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports that the 2025 summit is with the theme Combating Contemporary Threats to Regional Peace and Security in Africa, the role of the strategic defense collaboration.
Continent compels us to pause and reflect. From the deserts where insurgency persists, to the high seas where piracy prowls, from the silent corridors of cybercrime to the ruthless networks of transnational criminals. None of these tragedies respect borders, and neither should our response. What is true of our challenges must also be true of our resolve. We cannot neutralize these threats in isolation. This is the moment to reassess our military objectives in the collective aspirations to make Africa safe. It is time to forge a new doctrine of continental defense, one rooted in trust, shared intelligence, and coordinated strategy.
As host nations, Nigeria is deeply committed to the ideals of regional stability and continental defense integration. Our armed forces have consistently contributed to peacekeeping operations, counter-terrorism efforts, and humanitarian missions across Africa. We believe that true security is not achieved in isolation. It is built through shared intelligence, joint training, and coordinated action. Nigeria stands ready to work with our brothers and sisters across the continent to develop frameworks that are proactive, resilient, and responsive to the realities of our time.
And from security to economic policies, the federal government economic policies have been one of the success and overcoming deep-seated challenges that have impacted on the nation's development in time past, with reports noting positive outcomes like a strengthened naira and improved balance of trade. Analysts believe that the nation is out of the woods, well, economically. However, an economist, Aliyu Elias, wants more work to be done in balancing the economic indices. Let's see this excerpt.
If you look at it from fuel subsidy removal, from generation of more revenue, Nigeria's single window, increment of salary and other things that he has actually done, he has done it on a good note that is going to better the life of Nigerians. But as a Nigerian, we also have to juxtapose what is happening on the reality. The policy, all those reforms are good, and I think is what will benefit over time. But now Nigeria is feeling it, and that's part of why Okonjo-Iweala also said they should do more in terms of creating more social safety. And that simply means that it must be a two-way thing. While the policies are good, it must also be managing the betterment of Nigerians.
All right. A 55-year-old suspect, a drug kingpin, and 5 members of his syndicate allegedly operating at the Malam Aminu Kano International Airport have been arrested. The arrest comes after investigations revealed they were behind shipment of illicit drugs that led to the wrongful detention of 3 innocent Nigerians performing Lesser Hajj in Jeddah. Salwal Khalil Ibrahim reports that this is a major breakthrough in Nigeria's fight against illicit drug trafficking.
Elements have taken a new dimension in perpetrating crimes. This time around, they have resorted to planting illicit substances into the baggages of unsuspecting travelers, an offense which carries death penalty in some countries. Just recently, 3 innocent Nigerians on Lesser Hajj to Saudi Arabia were implicated of drug trafficking. After receiving complaints from the victim's family, an investigation was launched to unravel the truth.
All the bags were traced to one Ali Abubakar Mohammed, alias Bello Karama, who is the leader of the syndicate who shipped
them into the Ethiopia airline on 6th of August 2025, while Ali traveled with the other 3 bags on Egypt Air. On that note, the agency, armed with the outcome of its investigations into these 3 cases, is spearheading a dialogue with the authority of the General Directorate of Narcotics Control, that is GDNC in Saudi Arabia, to see that these innocent Nigerians, that is the 3 people detained in Saudi Arabia, are exonerated.
This recent development does not affect Nigeria and Saudi Arabia relations, but rather strengthen the common goal of ridding both countries of illicit drug trafficking. Then the NDLEA also says Nigeria will never abandon its citizens, especially those found to be innocent in any part of the world. The NDLEA is also advising Nigerians to be extra vigilant when traveling. In Abuja, Salwa Khalil Ibrahim, NTA News.
There seems to be more sunshine for the community of persons with disabilities, as disability advocates are being deliberate in their response to inclusivity and empowerment for persons with disabilities in Nigeria. Ngufan Shajungwaye reports that this time around 70 billion naira is being mobilized to build farm cities across the 6 geopolitical zones to engage persons with disabilities in entrepreneurial skills.
Joshua Omale is a wheelchair user who sits at the gates of the Federal Secretariat, Abuja. As a person with disability, he says navigating through daily living is quite challenging.
Sometimes you want to get a vehicle. It's not everyone that will carry you on his vehicle because he's looking at how can I carry this man. A lot of our people on the street who come out so that they can give them, provide what they need from them. It's not money. Everything is not money. Teach them what to do, teach them some skill, give them something that they can do to come out from the street.
However, the community of persons with disabilities might be heaving a sigh of relief as the Peace for Humanity Foundation presents a 70 billion naira mobilization fund initiative to the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities.
We are targeting persons with disabilities because persons with disabilities have enormous talent and economic potentials in them that need to be included at all spheres of national development.
If they have things doing, if they are farming, cultivating and producing their own food, I bet you that 70% of these beggars will be off the streets.
As a commission, we will grant full participation to this and similar efforts that aim at empowering our community.
With this firm commitment, the likes of Omale and the community of persons with disabilities will be able to cater for their financial needs and will no longer have to survive off handouts. In Abuja, Gufan Shaji Ogwanyi, NTA News.
All right, time to find out what's happening in the Center of Excellence as we join Hinkino John Adams. Hello, Hinkino.
And welcome to Lagos. As the impact of artificial intelligence continues to be felt in various sectors of the economy, including education, experts in art and humanities are already thinking outside the box on how to maximize the opportunities that abound in the subsector. Joel Kukola reports that stakeholders say academics are already leveraging digital technology to improve research.
Artificial intelligence is moving at the speed of light, and experts say any sector, profession, or individual that ignores it does at its own peril. Maintaining the relevance of arts and humanities amidst the rapid development and use of artificial intelligence is very crucial for the professionals in the sector to align with global best practice. This, the Obi of Onitsha, Igwe Alfred Nnaemeka Achebe, at a public lecture emphasized, will reshape and make the education sector more dynamic.
Indeed, Bill Gates has predicted that artificial intelligence
has the capacity to replace human beings in performing tasks sooner than we would expect. Thankfully, Nigeria's internet penetration at 60%, driven by affordable smartphones and increased data availability, is one of the highest in Africa.
Academics believe AI is incomplete without art and humanities. Rather than see it as a threat, to them it is a tool.
If you say AI is language, and language is part of our own discipline, so whatever you feed in there, that's what it comes out.
Our concern has to do with the technological changes that are taking place, and the need to humanize the processing. But too many times we have been flying with one hand in this country. We have placed less emphasis on humanities.
The consensus of stakeholders is for conversation on how to prepare for the recalibration brought by AI to continue to gain relevance. In Lagos, Joel Bukbola, NTA News.
That was actually a report on Nigeria First policy. Now let's revisit the report on experts on preparedness of art and humanities for AI revolution.
The manufacturing sector is the bedrock of any economy, with its capacity to create jobs and wealth for economic growth. The federal government is thinking outside the box to achieve the much-needed industrial revolution that will serve as a catalyst for the nation's economy to gain traction. One of the policies designed to trigger drastic improvement in the manufacturing sector is the Nigeria First policy, which is designed to promote patronage of made-in-Nigeria goods, and stakeholders believe this is a good omen for the country.
Any product that is produced in this country at commercial level, importation will be banned. Because of that, we have in our ministry an agency called the Presidential Executive Order No. 5, which as soon as there are production of any material that are being imported, once we see it springing up, we ban everything that is being imported. And that's why, on that basis, many of the companies, Chinese companies, are now beginning to produce in Nigeria.
For indigenous companies, patronage of made-in-Nigeria products should start from the government to encourage others.
The issue of the Nigerian First policy is a welcome development, and we on our own have intentionally programmed our activities to support the federal government in this regard. So it means that those products that are made in Nigeria, they have good quality, they are in the right prices, and that the environment for us to be able to achieve that is created by government.
Industry players believe access to fund, provision of infrastructure, especially power, are salient requirements to further propel development of the nation's manufacturing sector. In Lagos, Joel Bukbola, NTA News.
That's it from here. It's now time for some messages. Nationwide will continue with Ruth in Abuja after the break.
Thank you for staying with us. No doubt, flooding evokes some pleasant memories of pain and trauma for many who have had their share of the traumatizing experience. These categories of people are often jolted to ask, can anything good come out of flood or flooding? Well, our correspondent, Aya Prezi, went in search of answers to this question.
Flooding has dealt such terrible blows to many that all what they see about it are the disturbing and frightening images of devastation of critical infrastructures, displacement, loss of means of livelihood, and restriction on movement, thereby inducing mass suffering. Notwithstanding these spectacles of disaster, there are huge socioeconomic benefits that come with floods, which cut across fishing, farming, lumbering, sporting, transportation, and construction sectors of the economy.
We don't have shifting cultivation. We still cultivate on that same portion of land, and it makes the soil become very rich for us.
The flooding also helps the nutrients of the soil, phosphorus, nitrogen and other nutrients that we want to be taken to areas where hitherto they cannot reach.
I remember as a child
when my aunts that I was living with in the creeks in Ndewari, during the flood, not only the kitchen altar would be used for drying fish, she will raise another altar in the parlor.
The fact that disadvantages of flooding are apparently more than advantages, observers stress that lasting measures be activated to minimize the negative impacts, while equally in placing strategies to maximize its benefits in the areas of sport and agriculture, such as renewing the fertility of the soil and floating logs from the interiors to rivers and streams for onward movement to the market. In Yenagoa, Aya, Prezi, NG News.
So just like a coin that has both sides, they decide which side of the divide. But let's get more insight by joining our correspondent, Aya Prezi, to give us more details into this situation, especially as a riverine community.
Again, saying the fact that flood usually imposes a lot of challenges on individuals, families, and communities. And as such, it is usually viewed from the perspective of something totally negative without any benefits. However, this perspective does not give a holistic reflection on the impacts of flood, particularly in view of its role in agriculture, transportation, trade, and even sport. When you talk about the flood season, it is the period nature has provided for fishes to follow flood waters to the banks of the rivers and their outlets into the far interiors of the forest to breed. And because of this mass migration of fishes towards the interiors of the forest, fishermen take advantage of this period to catch a lot of fishes.
All right, thank you, Aya Prezi there. While you try to stay safe, talking about those in the riverine community, you can also take advantage of what the flood presents. Makodi is next, and Susan Omale is standing by. Hello, Susan.
Ruth, it's good to have you join us in Makodi. Governor Hyacinth Alia has inaugurated the Steering Committee on Coal Bed Methane Allied Resources, charging its members to harness the state's abundant natural gas reserves for electricity, industrial growth, and job creation. Blessing Omeche Ibute has details.
All right, apologies for the loss of signal there. We'll pick up from here. Leaders across all levels of society are being urged to prioritize the welfare of those under them for the development of the country. The call was made by the prelate of the Cherubim and Seraphim Church worldwide, His Eminence, Dr. David Bob Manuel, as the church celebrates its 100th anniversary. Sandra Akeme reports.
The Internal Secret Church of Cherubim and Seraphim Church is celebrating a major milestone, its centenary anniversary. To mark the occasion, the church hosted a grand ecumenical Thanksgiving service tagged Centenary Without Boundaries. The event brought together members of the church, dignitaries, traditional rulers, church leaders, and eminent personalities from various churches and ethnic divides. Founded on September 9, 1925, the prelate, His Most Eminence Dr. David Bob Manuel, said the Cherubim and Seraphim Church has grown largely over the years, with a presence in Nigeria and beyond. He emphasized the importance of national unity, peace, and ethnic harmony in Nigeria.
When I came into the show, we started off worshiping God in the African way by dancing, praising God. So, and it has some impact.
You can see what they have done over the years when you talk of prayer, fervent prayers, praying on the mountain. We should look back and see what they have contributed to Christianity and to the growth of Nigeria and rejoice with them.
It is our prayer that all Christians will come to that belief, not minding denominational differences. We come together and focus our attention to salvation
Over the last 100 years, there's relatively peace in the eternal second order of cherubim and seraphim worldwide. There's growth.
The prelate for Manuel assures that the church would continue to do its utmost best to the general development of the country and the well-being of its citizenry. In Abuja, Sandra Akeme, NTA News.
Sokoto Rima River Basin Authority has called on the public not to panic over the release of water from Goronyo Dam. This was disclosed by the Managing Director of the Sokoto Rima River Basin Development Authority, Abubakar Malang, while briefing newsmen on the recent release of water from the dam. He assured farmers, fishermen and canoe operators that there is no cause for fear, as the authority is releasing water strictly in line with its 2025 action plan, guided by NIMET predictions on inflows and outflows. Goronyo Dam, with a holding capacity of 942 million cubic meters, has been successfully managed by the authority over the years.
At this point, I want to assure members of the public, especially farmers, fishermen, canoe operators and other stakeholders that there is no cause for alarm with regard to daily water release from the Goronyo Dam. The most important thing to do is to align their respective activities with our action plan and avoid erecting structures on waterways to safeguard against flooding and its attendant effects.
It will be recalled that the Goronyo Dam was first conceived by the administration of former President Shehu Shagari and completed in 1984 for the purpose of flood control and irrigation farming. And that's where we wrap it on Nationwide. Thank you for being part of it. Do have a good evening. I'm Ruth Aguilera. Bye.